So I'll call this meeting to order. We'll stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Dumpy, would you please give the opening prayer?
Dear Lord, please give us the knowledge and the wisdom tonight to make educated, well thought out decisions for the city of Nelsonville. In your name we pray. Amen.
So before we go any further, Mr. Robe has a statement he would like to make.
So the chief executive authority of the city has instructed me to deliver a letter to the city auditor, which I did earlier today. I will read a portion of that letter. It's just over 11 pages, but I'll give the cliff notes. So here's how it starts out. Dear Mr. Sappington, I'm writing to you now in my capacity as interim city attorney for the city of Nelsonville. The city manager has instructed me to write to you so that I can articulate for the city auditor's office the city's legal position as to the meeting of Nelsonville City Charter provisions dealing with creating and filling vacancies on council. Please understand that because I'm articulating the city's legal position, I'm not merely articulating a non-binding legal opinion. Rather, the city manager has instructed and authorized me to initiate any appropriate legal action to seek judicial vindication of the city's position, if such is necessary. Because the city wants to be transparent with the public as to its legal position, I'm providing this letter to you now in accordance with my instructions. The 7 points of law which summarize the city's legal position are as follows. Number 1, council can fill a vacancy on council by motion. Number 2, a motion to fill a vacancy on council passes by a vote of more than half of the members present for the vote. Number 3, only council has authority under the charter to permanently fill a vacancy that occurs in the presidency of council. Number 4, a resignation from the presidency of council creates an immediate vacancy in the presidency. Number 5, a resignation of a council seat is accepted when the seat is filled by appointment. Number 6, a resignation from council that doesn't expressly give a date and time certain for its effectiveness is effective immediately. 7, a resignation that's effective immediately can't be rescinded, though the one who resigned may be reappointed to council. And then I provide a brief recitation of the salient facts, a detailed description citing various legal authorities, and then conclude thusly. Please understand that this letter isn't an exhaustive description of the city's legal position, as may be needed, and at the appropriate time, the city will be prepared to present additional evidence and explanation for its legal position. Thank you very much for your attention. Please let me know if you have any questions or need additional information. Please feel free to distribute and circulate this letter to the general public. Because the city intends to seek judicial vindication of its legal position, as I've articulated, if necessary, this letter may be made public. Please understand I can only comment on the city's legal position publicly as is proper for me under the rules governing the conduct of an attorney representing a party to potential litigation. Respectfully, signed by me.
Thank you, Mr. Robe. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Lawson?
Here.
Mr. Booth?
Here.
Mr. Clement?
Here.
Ms. Sonic? Here. Mr. Dumpy?
Here.
Mr. Flowers?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
So we have a few minutes that need to be accepted. One is the regular meeting on March 11th. Did everybody receive those?
Yes.
Any corrections or additions? Okay. Motion to approve?
Second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Dumpy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
And then we have minutes from a special meeting on March 13th. Did everyone receive those? Any corrections or additions? Motion to accept?
Second. All motion. Second.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic,
Yes.
Mr. Duffy.
Yes.
Mr. Flowers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Yep.
Mr. Booth.
Yes.
Okay, and then we have minutes from a special meeting on March 21st. Everyone received those. Any corrections? Any corrections or additions? Motion to accept?
So moved. Second.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Why are we doing that? Why are we amending the minutes?
We're not amending, we're accepting the minutes from the previous meetings.
Yes.
They were never accepted. Okay.
Correct. So we're ready to call the roll?
Yes. Okay, Ms. Sonic,
Yes.
Mr. Duffy,
Yes.
Mr. Flowers,
New one?
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Not recused, nothing.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Mr. Clement.
Yes. And finally, the minutes from March 25th, regular meeting. Everyone received those? Any corrections or additions?
One point.
Yes.
I believe there was a cover letter from the clerk, accompanying those minutes. For the vote, I think it should be clarified whether council wants to include that cover letter with the minutes or not.
Okay, so that would just be a correction.
Well, once the minutes are adopted, if at council's pleasure, they want to include that cover letter, we're going to just have another motion to so include it.
Okay.
So pass the minutes first, and then
Add the cover letter.
correct.
Okay, so any corrections or additions on the March 25th minutes? None? Motion to accept? Second. Clerk, call the roll on that.
Mr. Duffy,
Yes.
Mr. Flowers,
Yep.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
I'm recused from that one.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic.
Yes.
And then we'll make a motion to add the cover letter to those minutes also. So moved.
Second.
Any council discussion on that? Call the roll.
Mr. Flowers,
Nothing.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson.
Yeah.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic,
Yes.
Mr. Duffy,
Yes.
So we're ready for the auditor and treasurer's report.
You want it on the screen, Taylor?
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
Should be at the website. Good evening, city council, residents and staff, and citizens in attendance. I'll start with the treasurer's report while the auditor's report is being brought up. This was for February 2024. The treasurer left out copies for everybody. The last regular meeting, that's when these reports were supposed to happen, just for clarification. But happy to do them today. So on page one, we have $6,705,992 between the three accounts the city uses that the treasurer has here. The year-to-date interest on investments is just for January and February, $23,303.77. This should be, it was real close to the end of the month. This should be the last month with this certificate of deposit at People's Bank. The treasurer and the finance committee, the investment committee, makes up the law director, the city manager, and the treasurer rolled the expiring certificate into a new certificate of deposit, of which People's Bank won the bid for I believe, at 4.99%, almost 5%, certainly the highest at any time I've seen in recent memory, frankly. And is much better than the rate before, which was 3.5. I think that's a 9-month. It's the longest they were offering that. So you'll see that on the next report. Then the treasurer commits to the sweep account reconciliation on the bank side, and then finally on the book side, finding a $0 difference between the two, with no added notes or additions. And that would be the treasurer's report for February 2024. So, auditor's report for February 2024. For anyone at home, or frankly here in attendance, you can find it online, cityofnelsonville.com, under auditor and reports, as well as on the screen behind you, and I can provide a copy which has been given to everyone at the table. You see February's expenses did not outpace revenues in February 2024. Same comment as has been for a long time. These numbers are higher than usual because of water and sewer projects that are ongoing. The city runs the money through them, which is a requirement of state and federal funding agencies. On the next row down, we have all funds combined, $6,511,428. You'll see a balance of just over $1 million in the general funds. 570,000 in the combined street funds, so that's a little deceiving just because many of those are committed to the upcoming Borough, Canal Street, Frog Hollow. There's one other major street I'm missing, Frog Hollow. Major paving projects this year and next. Most of those funds are committed to matching. Capital fund, water fund over 2, and sewer fund just under 1. You'll see on the next page, I tried twice actually for the folks with paper to get this report in there. It always shows up with small print, so you'll see the same report twice. One of them is just a little bigger than the other, so that we can all see it, matching the numbers just described to you. For our fund balances, nothing of particular note to bring up this month as far as in the fund balances. The credit card report is on the next page. You can see the credit card transactions on the screen. We've got things like the OTOA, Tactical Officers Training and Conference for the police department. You will see that. PACTEC sewer plan, dump and dumpster costs for the new sewer plants, truck equipment for the street department, and $708.43. Portable batteries for the fire department, Harbor Freight tools and equipment, Microsoft citywide software expenses, which is a recurring fee, and then Atrix, which is software costs for end of year processing for payroll. I did want to say a couple things. I'm glad I got this report in this today. It's actually why I requested to do it today, not later in the month, and then just combining the reports because tax day is coming up for all residents and businesses and anyone working in the city who owes the city money. Tax day is Monday, April 15th, 2024. We're almost there. Today's the 8th. You can file on paper. You can file with an accountant, tax firm, C&J. You can use ritaohio.com to file online. If you use what's called their fast file option, I have, for example, one W-2 took me about 3 minutes. So do the math. Even if you have a few W-2s in other situations, 5 to 10 minutes in total, and you're done. Folks who have to file are people who are working in the city and still owe the city money. If you work here but don't live here and you don't owe the city, you do not have to. Other folks who have to file are residents, with the exception of retirees and disabled folks who may not have to file if you gave us notice that you're retired or disabled. A change council implemented in 2023. We can help you with that exemption. It's a one-pager. It's easy. Put your name down, sign, say I'm exempt. Just call the office, stop in, ask us any questions you have. We have had a smooth process so far, and we want to help make it smooth for everybody else. So, I have a few other final notes. I'm sunburnt from looking up at the sun all day today, like many other folks. That's not as important as what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to say thank you, even though it's a little premature, wanted to thank the county and the city. I received almost 70% of the vote in Nelsonville for county treasurer, which is my biggest margin in the city to date. I feel that confidence passionately, and I appreciate it. I'm grateful for it. So thank you for that. Much of my adult life has been spent here. This is my 9th year in City Hall in this room. I'm 32 years old, so it's a big deal. I appreciate it. It was a big election, and that means there's some change that's going to have to happen here that I want to prepare folks for. So currently, the slated transition date is September 1st, 2025. That's a long time from now. That is a very long time from now. However, there are things in life that are outside of our control, and I think the city should be prepared for those things. For example, if the current incumbent were to step down and an appointment were to be made, that's not currently something being discussed, but I think it would be helpful for the city to be prepared with candidates, people who are interested, people with experience, and people who qualify for the position long before September 2025, in case something like that happens. So I wanted to make sure to say a couple things. The auditor, if you don't know, is the check writer, the watchdog, the financial advisor to the council. They are the manager of the finance office and its 3 staff, keeps the ledger, chief audit manager, fiscal officer, payroll officer, manages the taxes for the city, manages the purchasing process for the city, and honestly does a whole lot more. That's not written down anywhere else, but it's still in our wheelhouse. I say this because I want to make sure that we find folks who are qualified, experienced, interested, and frankly independent, who will steer the city's finances and administration in the right directions. And I urge folks who are interested and qualified to reach out to myself or my office as soon as possible, so that we can have that conversation or talk to a council person, any of the above. So that's it. Any questions?
Mr. Septon, I have one question regarding the tax filing deadline. If folks need to fill out an exemption form, should they do that prior to the deadline?
Yes, that would be great. That would be very helpful. It won't make or break their life, but it's always best to do it.
That would maybe ensure they don't get a letter from Rita.
Yes, yep. It's a simple process. We've got them. We can help you fill it out. I think you can file it online, which we can help with too. We just want to make sure that folks understand they have options.
And if they fill that exemption form, then if they complete it the one time, then going forward, they shouldn't have to do it, correct?
That's exactly right. Okay. So as long as they stay either retired, disabled, and have no taxable income, they will never have to file again.
Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Southampton, what is the Parks and Rec fund in a negative balance? Well, so that's a great question. I'll bring your attention back to that report. So that fund currently, if you look to the number to the left, 15,179. That's actually what's in the unexpended balance. So what is in there is encumbrances for the entire year. So those are things that we expect to spend over the coming year. The Parks and Rec Fund runs with such a small margin, and it always has, that frankly, it looks that way for a long time. So it's not something we want to stay that way, but because we encumber things for the pool, for the parks, for the leagues, but those revenues don't come in until the pool's open, or say property taxes come in from the county until, twice a year. Sometimes it's June. Honestly, it kind of depends on what's going on in the auditor's and treasurer's office at the county. And then September as well. Okay, thank you. So that would be, if that number was still looking like that in September,
that would be when council would want to look at this closer and understand what's going on in that fund.
Where can we get a copy of that? The report?
The whole report?
Yes,
So it's available online as cityofnelsonville.com under auditors reports.
I thought you said we could have a paper copy.
I did, yes. I was just gonna say I can print you off a copy.
Thank you.
I don't have extras with me here. Actually, I do. I have like 3 or 4 here. But I can provide for other folks.
Any other questions for Mr. Sappington? Okay, we need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Okay, a motion to accept the auditor's report.
So moved.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes. Very much. Okay, there is no mayor's court report. So moving on to citizens' comments. We ask that you step to the podium, state your address, and you have 3 minutes. Anyone would like to speak?
Good evening. Joanna Rose, 382 West Washington, and I'm hoping that tonight there will be a report from the code officer. There hasn't been one for 2 months, and I think that needs to be attended to. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, any business or organizational comments? See it here. Oh, he's right there. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Boggs, would you like to step in?
Hello, everybody. My name is Trevor Boggs. I'm from 864 here in Nelsonville. And I'm here to get your approval on my project. So my project is to fix up Poly Field and find just get it. Yeah, yeah. So as you see on the first slide, this is my priorities I talked about. My first priority will be the fencing repair. Just to fix it up, all the fencing fences, I'll rent it, kind of fix them up a bit. Maybe put the fence around the field. Probably, yeah.
There used to be one around the field, and then they took it down and makes it accessible to vehicles. That'd be nice.
Second priority is to get out painting and the roof replacement, which the youth fleet has started painting the out already. Flood wall power washing, painting, and then Mr. Cohen said that the city is providing paint and biggest in favor. Also, another priority would be painting any of the other buildings, like, the football field, the concession stand. The next one, concession stand repair. Maybe I could put in like a drawer or a new door on the side. Just have to vandalize. Putting new scoreboards in. Sport games. Putting new trash cans in. We just have those little barrels, it's enough to have like trash cans and recycling bins and all sorts of other stuff. Foul poles in, on all the fields. For getting new equipment for teams to play. And putting in new basketball courts. The next slide is just kind of what the bid-outs look right now. And the next slide after that is what the lights like, the fence. This is all via tilted. Concession stand, doors, painting repair, the door, the painting to get the concession stand door up and put on, and that's the door. So we want power wash and painting, kind of this is moldy and kind of painted, that some parts are painted. And other buildings, kind of like dugouts, just vandalized a lot.
If you, I got the, Mr. Carter with the youth football league reached out to me today. They were looking to paint those buildings as well. Maybe if we connect after the meeting and get you in touch with him, maybe they can supply the paint and maybe you can provide some later. And I'm sure you're going to have some fellow scouts probably helping you paint.
And the trash can and recycling bins. The picture on the left is kind of what your ours looks like. The picture on the right is what our light bin will look like. Kind of. These scoreboards, some of the scoreboards don't work, haven't been hooked up at all. It'd be nice to kind of check, keep the score of the game, using paper. It's kind of like things look like. Yeah. That's it.
Sir, did you have anything started prior to the flood coming?
No.
Okay, well, that's good. And if people of Nelsonville would like to contribute to, what you're doing, how could they do that?
Just come down the day that we start working, and I said, where do you want me at?
Oh. So you don't have anyone to take care of your money?
The whole point of him today is just to get your guys' approval. And then he'll be planning, and as he gets your approval today, then he's gonna meet with the Boy Scouts of America to approve him, and then he can fundraise.
Okay.
But if he's gonna be sending out letters to businesses and stuff, and we could send a letter, or let the city know. But, it would be, the funds would have to go to the troop, which is Troop 364 here in town. And so I guess we could probably set up because our accounts at, Nelsonville Human Savings, the troops in Pax County, so. Yes, we could get that information out.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Boggs, if you can get this done, it'll be amazing. That's a lot of work. And I, for one, think it's a great idea.
Mr. President, I'll motion that, council provide a letter to Mr. Ball, authorizing him to be able to move forward with this project at Holly. Okay, draft a letter. And
I'll second that motion.
I'll trade that one.
All right. Clerk, call the roll on that.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
yes,
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flower?
Yes.
Any other questions for Mr. Boggs? Good luck.
Are you guys able to sign this today, whoever? Or should we give them Mr. and Jimmy?
if you have something to sign,
Yeah.
Mr. Ken Jimmy.
President of council should be able to sign that, I would think. I think we're wrong.
I'm not sure.
Your mileage may vary. I mean, it's not.
Mr. Jimmy has to sign that.
Yeah,
either
Mr. Ken Jimmy.
Just send it my way and I'll sign it and send it back.
Yeah.
He's able to digitally sign it.
Yeah, I'll email him.
Perfect. Thank you.
Do you have anything else to add? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Has any committees met since last meeting?
Parks and Recreation, we met, and, I'm trying to recall what we discussed now, I forgot my notes from the meeting. We talked about ATVs, allowing ATVs, we have an ordinance tonight, hopefully bring forward, I think the trails are opening up if they're not already, and, hopefully allow the city to allow those folks to come into town. Let's see, what else did we talk about? We did talk about the pool. Yep, so we have legislation tonight for the pool rates and the staffing ordinance for the pool. So those are on the agenda for this evening.
Okay. Thank you. Street committee also met. We discussed street signs citywide and paving projects for 24 and 25. I don't think any others met, did they? Department updates. I'm not sure who's on the, okay. Chief Oliver?
Police Department update for the month of March. So in total, we had 381 calls for service, 37 traffic stops, 19 traffic citations, 9 parking citations. Investigated 8 traffic crashes, made 24 criminal arrests, and 11 warrant arrests.
Okay, that's.
Anything else?
That's all.
Okay, any questions for Chief Oliver? Thank you. Any other department updates? I'm not sure who's here for that. That's it. That's it. All right, moving on to ordinances. First reading, ordinance 2524. An ordinance accepting the terms and conditions and the grant money for the Ohio Law Enforcement Bulletproof Vest Program.
An ordinance accepting the terms and conditions and the grant money for the Ohio Law Enforcement Bulletproof Vest Program and monies in the amount of $7,639.94 and declaring an emergency. Whereas the city of Nelsonville has been awarded grant money in the amount of $7,639.94 from the Ohio Law Enforcement Bulletproof Vest Program. Whereas the city desires to accept the grant awards and the terms and conditions of grants. And whereas the city desires to place all grant monies into line item 100 100-40010 operating supplies. Now therefore be ordained by the Council of the City of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. That the City of Nelsonville accepts Ohio law enforcement bulletproof vest funds in the amount of $7,639.94. City manager shall have the authority to take all necessary and legal steps to receive the Ohio law enforcement bulletproof vest incentive grant. The city auditor shall raise the line item number 100-100-40010 Police Department operating supplies in the amount of $7,639.34. This ordinance is being passed as an emergency measure pursuant to ORC 731.30, Article 4, Sections 4.09 through 4.11, as an emergency in the operation of the city government and is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, morals, or welfare of the city, and its ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Duly enacted by council on first reading under suspension of the rules the 25th day of March, 2024.
Actually, should be April 8th. Okay. Motion to suspend the rules?
Second that motion.
Any citizens' comments on suspension of the rules? Any council discussion on suspension of the rules? Okay, we'll call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes. Okay, motion to adopt.
Second.
Any citizens' comments? Council discussion? Okay, call the roll.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2524 passes. Ordinance 2624, an ordinance repealing and abolishing ordinance 2822 and then enacting new ATV regulations. Would someone like to introduce it?
I'll introduce it.
An ordinance repealing and abolishing ordinance 28-22 and enacting new ATV regulations which authorize the use of ATVs on city streets and to make Nelsonville ATV friendly. Whereas the city's ATV regulations need to be changed to allow for the conveniences and enjoyment for the citizens of the city and for the potential economic opportunity to the city from tourists visiting the city and region. Whereas the city desires to make Nelsonville an ATV-friendly community. Whereas council determines the best manner in which to achieve these goals is to change the city's ATV regulations to allow the use of ATVs on all city streets year-round from sunrise to sundown, 7 days a week, unless a special event is organized with city approval. Whereas ordinance 28-22 previously set forth the city's ATV regulations, but the provisions of ordinance 28-22 expired on December 31st, 2023. Now therefore be ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. Ordinance 28-22 codified as section 75.50 of the Nelsonville Code of Ordinances is hereby repealed and abolished. The city of Nelsonville hereby enacts the ATV regulations set forth in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. The city of Nelsonville hereby authorizes the use of ATVs on all city streets year-round from sunrise to sunset, 7 days a week, unless a special event is organized with city approval. Then hours may be extended. All ATV and any operator and or rider shall follow all laws and regulations set forth by the state of Ohio in ORC 4519.20 equipment rules as amended. And the City of Nelsonville, Section 75.50 ATV regulations as amended, and are subject to such penalties and fines established by law. The foregoing ordinance was adopted, and all actions and all deliberations of the council of the City of Nelsonville, Ohio, were conducted in open meetings to the public in compliance with all applicable legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect at the earliest time permitted by law, duly enacted by council under suspension of the rules. It says on second reading, the day of April 2024. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll do 2 readings on this.
Okay.
Okay. Ordinance 2724. An ordinance authorizing payment of attorney Matthew Voltolini for legal services rendered to the city, repealing ordinance 1624 and declaring an emergency. Would someone like to introduce it?
An ordinance authorizing payment of attorney Matthew Voltolini for legal services rendered to the city, repealing ordinance 16-24 and declaring an emergency. Whereas attorney Matthew Voltolini performed legal services to the city for which the city is grateful. Whereas on February 12, 2024, council enacted ordinance 16-24 titled A Resolution Hiring Matthew Voltolini, Attorney at Law, as Special Counsel for the City of Nelsonville, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. Whereas a contract executed for attorney Matthew Voltolini provided for compensation and expenses to attorney Matthew Voltolini for the provision of his legal services to the city. Whereas the city desires to fully compensate attorney Matthew Voltolini for his legal services rendered to the city. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the City of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio, as follows. The contract executed which provided for compensation for attorney Matthew Voltolini's legal service is hereby ratified and approved by council. The city shall immediately pay to attorney Matthew Voltolini the full contract price as set forth in the contract, including reimbursement for mileage. Upon payment to attorney Matthew Voltolini, as specified in this ordinance, the city shall have no need for his additional services, and he is hereby relieved of any duty or obligation to provide any further service to the city. Accordingly, he shall have no further authority to act on behalf of the City of Nelsonville. Both the city manager and the city auditor shall, within 7 days of the enactment of this ordinance, separately send written thanks to attorney Matthew Voltolini on behalf of the city for his legal services rendered to the city. No later than April 22nd, 2024, the city manager and the city auditor shall furnish proof to council that such written thanks have been delivered to attorney Matthew Voltolini. Ordinance 16-24 is hereby repealed. City manager and city auditor are hereby authorized to take all steps necessary to carry this ordinance into execution. City council hereby finds that this ordinance was adopted in meetings open to the public as required by applicable law. 5 members of council voting to dispense with the 2 readings of this ordinance. The rules are hereby suspended for this ordinance, and this ordinance is hereby enacted on the first reading to ORC 731.15 and the Nelsonville City Charter sections 4.09 through 4.11. This ordinance is hereby passed as an emergency measure pursuant to ORC 731.30, Article 4, Sections 4.09 through 4.11, as an emergency in the operation of the city government and as the city needs to provide payment to Mr. Voltolini in return for his services rendered to the city, and is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, morals, or welfare of the city, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Duly enacted by council on first reading and suspension of the rules the 8th day of April 2024.
Okay. Motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Any citizens' comments on suspension of the rules? Council discussion?
I have one question.
Okay.
What is the total that Mr. Wolfman will be paid?
The city auditor, I don't know the exact figure. Do you know?
I don't remember the change, but it's, contract price plus mileage, which was 10,294. But there was some change. I might have been 80 cents. I can't remember.
Thank you.
I don't want to ask you.
I have a question. How could you deliver the check today before the ordinance was even passed?
Would you please?
Sure. So the chief executive of the city made the determination that to resolve certain claims relating thereto, the check needed to be delivered
It's not
immediately.
legal.
It actually is. It's not the normal course, but because of the particular circumstances, that was appropriate, and the ordinance is just council effectively ratifying that action.
Can I add that my office sought that advice from the law director beforehand as well, so those questions were asked and answered.
Any other council discussion?
Well, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe, what did you say because of the circumstances?
That's correct.
What was the circumstance?
I can't answer that in a public meeting. I'd have to answer that in executive session to council. I've given the answer to the city auditor and the city manager, but because it's, because of the nature of that legal advice, I can only provide counsel.
So let me get it straight. So we, tell me, what? You're gonna roll your eyes every time.
I didn't roll your eyes.
Let me get this straight.
It's personnel matters. That's what he's trying to say, it's personnel matters.
I just want to ask a question. Is that okay?
Yeah, well, my answer.
If it's a personnel matter, I waive all confidentiality, please.
Now I forgot the damn question. I did.
No wonder.
You did. Oh, I know what it was. If we need this ordinance to pay him, I think the question is, how do we pay him before we got to the ordinance? Council makes that decision, correct?
Two reasons, both of which, because of the nature of the answer, I have to answer that. I'm not trying to avoid the question because it's a very good question. It's just to give a complete answer, it would have to be given in executive session.
So these folks can't hear it, right?
The answer would include privileged information.
Okay.
Which, of course, council can waive the privilege, but council would have to affirmatively act to do that.
Okay, clerk call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
No.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Okay, motion to adopt?
Second.
Any citizens' comments on adoption? Council discussion? Call the roll on adoption.
Mr. Flowers?
No.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ordinance 2524 passes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
is it the pleasure of council to, I guess, later on, go into executive session and give answers to the questions?
Okay, we'll do that now. Okay, ordinance 2824. An ordinance confirming the city manager's appointment of attorney Jonathan Rowe to be city attorney.
Somebody like to introduce?
I'll introduce it.
An ordinance confirming the city manager's appointment of Attorney Jonathan E. Rowe to be city attorney for the period of April 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024, and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract thereto and declaring an emergency. Whereas the office of city attorney needs to be filled. Whereas the city manager has authority pursuant to Nelsonville City Charter, section 5.041, to appoint a qualified person to serve as city attorney. The qualifications are set forth in Nelsonville City Charter, section 6.05. Whereas the city manager's appointment of the city attorney is subject to confirmation and approval by council as set forth in Nelsonville City Charter, section 4.0811 and 6.05. Whereas the city manager has appointed Jonathan E. Rowe to be city attorney for a term commencing April 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024 on a part-time basis. Whereas said Jonathan E. Rowe possesses the requisite qualification to serve as city attorney for a term commencing April 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024. Now therefore be ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. The city manager's appointment of Attorney Jonathan E. Rowe to be city attorney for a term commencing April 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024 on a part-time basis is hereby confirmed and approved by a majority of council. The city manager is hereby authorized to enter into a contract with Jonathan E. Rowe for compensation for the city attorney for a term commencing April 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024 on a part-time basis. A copy of the contract is attached hereto as Exhibit A and is incorporated in its entirety for the purposes as is set forth herein. The compensation for the city attorney for such term shall be as provided and set forth in Exhibit A. Services rendered by the city attorney during the period March 23rd, 2024 through March 31st, 2024 shall be paid for in accordance with his bill for legal services, which he shall timely submit to the city. No other compensation may be paid to the city attorney except as provided in this ordinance. The city attorney shall have such authority and duties as are set forth in the Nelsonville City Charter for the office of the city attorney. 5 members of council voting to dispense with the 2 readings of this ordinance. The rules are hereby suspended for this ordinance, and this ordinance is hereby enacted on first reading to ORC 731.95 and Nelsonville City Charter Section 4.09 through 4.11. This ordinance is hereby passed as an emergency measure pursuant to ORC 731.30, Article 4, Section 4.09 through 4.11 as an emergency in the operation of the city government, as the city is in need of legal representation and is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, morals, or welfare of the city, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Duly enacted by council on first reading under suspension of the rules the 8th day of April 2024.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Actually, before that, can put a motion to amend section 2 to end in December 2024 rather than 2025. Okay, typo,
Okay,
then I'll be quiet.
A motion to suspend.
I'll second that.
Okay, any citizens' comments on suspension of the rules? Any council discussion on suspension of the rules? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
I'll abstain my vote.
Okay, motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Any citizens' comments on adoption? Any council discussion on adoption? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Duffy?
Yeah.
Flowers?
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2824 passes.
Congratulations, Mr. Roden.
Thank you, sir.
Ordinance 2924, an ordinance setting the authorized staff for the city water park for the 2024 season. Would someone like to introduce it?
Okay. An ordinance setting the authorized staff for the city water park for the 2024 season. Whereas the staffing in the water park for the 2024 season needs to be set or modified. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. The 2024 season for the Nelsonville Water Park shall run from May 27, 2024 through August 31st, 2024. The city manager shall have authority to adjust the dates if the interest of the city is required. Seasonal staffing for the Nelsonville Water Park for the 2024 season shall include 1 seasonal aquatic center manager, 3 part-time aquatic center head lifeguards, and 20 part-time aquatic center lifeguard attendants. Aquatic manager, head lifeguards, and lifeguards and attendants pay scale. Aquatics manager up to $10,000 annually. Head lifeguards $12 per hour. Lifeguards and attendants $11 per hour. Nothing in this ordinance shall be construed to overrule or repeal or change future pay increases or offered benefits already approved by contract or city council. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect at the earliest time permitted by law. 5 members of council having voted to dispense with 2 readings of this ordinance, the rules are hereby suspended for this ordinance, and this ordinance is hereby enacted on first reading pursuant to ORC 731.15 and Nelsonville City Charter sections 4.09 through 4.11. Duly enacted by council on first reading of suspension of the rules the 8th day of April 2024.
Okay, a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Any citizens' comments on suspension? Any council discussion?
Can I ask why we need to pass this on 1 reading?
The pool's going to be opening at the end of May.
May, right?
Yeah, so if we do 2 readings a week, 30 days, we're going to be pushing it right up to. Plus, we have to be interviewing for lifeguards and positions. No problem. Any other discussion? Call the roll on suspension?
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Okay, motion to adopt?
Yes.
Second.
Thank you. Got it.
Told you.
Okay, motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any citizens' comments? Council discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth? Yes. Mr. Clement?
Yes. So ordinance 2924 passes. Ordinance 3024, an ordinance setting the water park fees for the Nelsonville Water Park for the 2024 season.
Somebody like to introduce it?
I'll introduce it.
An ordinance setting water park fees for the Nelsonville Water Park for the 2024 season. Whereas the water park fees need to be set for the 2024 season. Whereas council desires to update the pool pricing schedule to reflect new pricing schedule for the 2024 pool season. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. The Nelsonville Water Park fee schedule for the 2024 season for the Nelsonville Water Park shall be as follows. Daily entry fee for in-town Children, 4 and up, $5. Children under 3, free. The daily fee for out of town, children 4 and up, $5. Children 3 and under, free. Seasonal pass rates. Household, which is a maximum of 6 people, and then more than 6 is $15 per person. In-town rate is $199. The out-of-town rate is $225. Adults, which is ages 18 and up, $125 in town, $150 out of town. Youth, ages 4 to 17, in town, $100, out of town, $125. Seniors over 65, in town is free, out of town is $25. Employees of the city of Nelsonville and immediate family are free, in town and out of town. Active duty service veterans, first responders with proper ID, in town are free, as well as out of town. Nelsonville York students get the in-town rate with their student ID. Pool rental fees. Pool rental rate is $250 for 2 hours. Pool rental rates is $150 during pool hours, up to 50 guests. And the $250 was the after hours rate. Swimming lessons and water aerobics, $45 per child for swimming lessons, $5 per water aerobic session, and a $4 adult lap swim. Silver Sneakers members are admitted free for aerobics. For in-town rates, must have a Nelsonville address or school ID as shown on a water bill or tax return. The city will offer a free swim on July 4th, 2024. Sponsors of swim days will get 24% off daily passes, minimum of 100 passes, and limited to pool capacity. Concession pricing is at the discretion of the city manager. At the city manager's sole discretion, the authority to set or adjust concession pricing may be delegated to the pool manager. City council hereby finds that this ordinance was adopted in a meeting open to the public as required by applicable law. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect at the earliest date provided by law, duly enacted by council on second reading, the 22nd day of April 2024.
So this will go to second reading. Ordinance 3124, an ordinance increasing the trash rates 4% effective, and I assume April 8th.
No, under the charter, utility rates can't be immediately effective, so it will take 30 days.
Okay. So, May 8th, 2024. Would someone like to introduce it?
I'll introduce it.
An ordinance increasing trash rates 4% effective May 8, 2024. Whereas trash rates must be increased effective May 8, 2024 by a rate of 4% to maintain the financial stability and health of the city's trash service to its residents. Whereas the city will cover any increase in administrative costs for the month of April 2024 so as to maintain the city's trash service to its residents. Now therefore be ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. Effective May 8, 2024, trash rates are hereby increased and set as follows. 1. Trash rates are hereby increased from $13.07 effective April 1st, 2022 to $13.59 per customer per month for curbside refuse and rubbish collection for one residence or unit up to 7 bags. Recycle bin and service included for customers per month for curbside recycling. $2 per container per month for optional rental totes or equivalent. $5 per sticker for special rubbish items, large items, and trash bags. 2 bags per sticker above the allotted quantity. The city shall pay out of the public treasury for any increase in administrative costs for the city's trash service for the month of April 2024. City council hereby finds that this ordinance was adopted in a meeting open to the public as required by applicable law. 5 members of council voting to dispense with the 2 readings of this ordinance. The rules are hereby suspended for this ordinance, and this ordinance is hereby enacted for the first reading, on the first reading, pursuant to ORC 731.15 and Nelsonville City Charter Section 4.09 through 4.11. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect at the earliest date provided by law, duly enacted by council on first reading under suspension of the rules dated April 2024.
Okay. Motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Second that.
Any citizens' comments on suspension?
I have a question. I'm a very simple person. And I don't know how to put this into words, but the city gets a discount for doing the billing. And it's the way it was explained to me once before. Is that correct?
The bid cost is lower with the city doing the billing, yes.
Okay. So we have a fund that this is going to. I don't make $80,000 a year, so can we not somehow offset that and give that? I mean, I don't know how. I'm not seeing the discount. The town people aren't seeing the discount, and I know before, and it's not you guys, but I've been told before that they were trying to buy us all trash cans with this money. I don't know where this money is going to go that's sitting there, so I don't know where it can go or how it can go, but, and I know we're talking 50 cents, but I just don't know what we're gonna do with this other money over here that we're raising these prices.
That's probably something we should bring up at a utility committee meeting. That'd be a good thing to have a topic of discussion on, so, yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, thank you. I've already got a trash can, so you don't need to buy me one, but
Right.
thanks. So, and I know several people are the same way, and when I kind of got that answer before, it was like, well, that's not a good answer, and okay.
Thank you.
This council will consider a motion to refer that issue to the utilities committee.
Motion to refer to.
Yeah, to the utilities committee.
Okay, can we do that now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to refer this to the utility committee.
Which part, the part with the fund that has the trash can money building up in it?
Right.
That's separate from the ordinance though, right?
Yes.
Or are we stopping the ordinance until we do that?
That's right, my mistake. So, yeah, we should do the council should do the motion after.
Okay,
That was my
motion.
bad.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. So we are at council discussion on suspension of the rules. Any council discussion? Call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Dumpy,
Yes.
Mr. Flowers,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic.
Yes.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second. Any citizens' comments on adoption? Any council discussion?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Referring to, Leamber's comment on the overage on that had been charged for 2 years? Is that what, you had a contract for 2 years? 3 years? For 3 years? This 4%, I imagine the money we have wouldn't put a dent in the 4%. In other words, we wouldn't have to pay that. I can't explain it either. But we wouldn't have to pay as much money if we took the money that we were already receiving that was over for the billing, which is $70,000 or $80,000, I understand, the last time I asked about it, and apply that toward the 4%, which would bring the percentage per customer down, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Or is that not going to put a dent?
So essentially what you're asking, if I understand, is if the money council has set aside, council does set, I can't remember the percentage, it's just around $1
Right.
or less,
Right.
more per bill. And is going to, the longstanding strategy is going to invest that into sanitation infrastructure, which the city, for a long time at least, has never had.
Right.
If your question is, can the city instead apply that to the cost for the customers? The council can make that decision, yeah. It would be a change in the strategy.
And would that be in the utilities? Yeah, maybe that could be something that would be brought up to use that money to at least offset a little bit.
I think that's what Mr. Rowe was recommending, it be motion to move it to utilities committee discussion.
And just to make sure, it says in the ordinance, the 4% increase is on the extension, which is with AHRC, which is already in effect. So the city, in the meantime, while this waits or sits, not the question, the ordinance, is actually just eating that cost. Certainly for April, and then depending on billing goes a little bit further. So in the meantime, while there's that timing delay, the city actually is just paying the difference. I like the question asked.
Is that 5% in Cancun? Wasn't it going to do 4 then 5?
That's
No,
4%.
Across the board?
Yep. For 2
Yeah,
years.
I believe so.
Because I think Mr.
Chris can
Kajimi,
answer that question a little better than me, but
Mr. Kajimi had mentioned that it was like a 4% and then the next year a 5%.
No, it's 4% or 4%, the whole extension. So there's no escalator there. It's just straight 4%.
Okay, any other council discussion? Call the roll on adoption?
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flower?
Yes.
Mr. President, I'll motion that, we move, the discussion, about the increase to the utility committee.
Second?
Second that.
Okay. Any council discussion on the motion? Clerk call the roll?
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flower?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Mr. Kanjemi, are you still online?
Yes, I am.
Okay, do you have a city manager's report for us?
I used most of my time to, Mr. Rowe, so he could make the announcement we jointly wanted to make together, but I wanted to take a moment to thank everybody for the support of the grants program for the vets for our officers. And I appreciate everyone taking the time to redo the ATV ordinance. I've got now 50 phone calls to make and probably 50 emails to send out to people that are very interested in coming to our town again because that ordinance is back up and running. And I want to congratulate Mr. Rhodes for accepting again a confirmation to be our law director. Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. And I appreciate everyone helping out with the pool ordinance as we get ready for this to open on Memorial Day. And I want to thank everybody and the citizens for accepting the trash proposal. This is in conjunction eventually what we're going to be doing with the Council of Government, and we'll get a better rate on control and service as that progresses throughout the year. And that's all I have at this time. Thank you, Mr. Clement.
Any questions for Mr. Kanjemi?
I have another question. Mr. Kajimi, well, I could ask you, what are we supposed to do with the ordinance that was passed prior to this with a 7-0 vote to put this trash contract out for bids? What are we supposed to do with that ordinance?
Mr. Rowe?
That's a good question. Maybe the first step is council just require the city manager to just report to him as to what he did under the authority instruction of that ordinance. That would probably be the first step.
But it was a 7-0 vote, and I know I'm repeating myself, but so I can understand it. My understanding is the ordinance are law. What are we supposed to do with that law? Because that's not what had taken place in this instance.
Right. I'm not familiar with what the city manager, I haven't discussed that ordinance.
Might be something you've done.
Sure. So, I mean, if council would like me to have that discussion with them, I will do that and then report back.
Well, I don't know about council, but I was just asking the question.
I'm certainly happy to So I'm gonna put you under interrogation and report back to council.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the city manager? Okay, moving on to, good of the order. Ms. Sonic, would you like to start?
Anyone? Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here tonight. Thank you for possibly understanding what has happened. This has been rough on all of us. We've had some nasty things said on Facebook, on Instagram, and then just in person. And when you sit here and you're trying to do the best you can for the city, people should understand that and not take issues with us who sit here on this council. And most of us were elected by you, the citizens of this town. So please, just be patient and you'll see how fast everything will go for you. All right, thank you very much for being here again.
Mr. Duffy?
Can't follow that one.
Mr. Flowers?
No.
Mr. Taylor?
I just want to, say that I hope everybody got to see a little bit of the eclipse today, and everybody made it home safely, and hopefully there weren't any issues with folks. Hopefully they used glasses when they were looking at the sun. So that's all I have.
Mr. Lawson?
None.
Mr. Booth?
Just wanted to say I'm, excited for our leadership. I think that you and Masonic, get, new committees put together and get back to work. I have full faith and confidence in both of them.
Thank you. I have nothing to, add to that. So we need an executive
Can
session.
you give a shout out to the fire department last night and their quick response to their house?
Okay, with that, we'll go into executive session under 121.22G for legal matters. Is there anything we need to add to
So we're invited.
that? Yeah, but
Well, I think it also should just, state something of legal claims.
okay. So for legal settlements against the city, inviting in the law director and Mr. Kanjemi, the auditor as well, and the auditor.
I would like to be included in that since it involves me. And I have made no legal claim against the city, so I don't understand how it can't be public, but if not, I'd like to be involved.
Okay. And inviting in Mr. Volpellini.
Thank you.
Motion to go into executive. Okay. So. Under advice of legal counsel, Mr. Volpellini, we're not going to invite you. Okay, motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk call the roll.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
No.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Time's 8:19.
8:19. Motion to return from executive session at 8:43.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Before we adjourn, I would like to personally apologize to Mr. Flowers for my eye rolling. And if I did it intentionally, it was not on purpose. Sir, I'm sorry.
Mr. Canjemi, you have some recommendations for appointments?
I do. I'd like to appoint Mr. Nick Smith to the Planning Commission. I'd like to recommend that he be appointed to that. And Mr. Casey Cox and Mr. Neil Summer to Parks and Recreation, if I could, please, yes.
Casey and Neil are
Actually-
both on the Parks and Recreation.
Yes.
Yeah,
I thought Mr. Summers was for planning commission.
yeah, Mr. Summers is planning commission.
Oh, I apologize. I wrote that down wrong. Okay.
Okay, you're fine. So we'll,
All right, so let's hit that one more time. Susan's giving me the look here.
Just go to the Planning Commission.
Neil. Correct?
Just Neil
And Nick Smith.
and Neil and Nick.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Nick Smith for Planning Commission, yes, and Mr. Neil Summer for Planning Commission. I thought I had it right the first time, but I guess I didn't. Okay, and Mr. Casey Cox for Parks and Recreation.
We're all of a certain age, so we forgot quickly.
okay, so we'll start with, a recommendation for Nick Smith for planning commission. Would someone like to make a
Yeah.
motion?
I'll make a motion for Mr. Nick Smith and Neil Summers to be on.
Wait, we have to do them individually.
You do? Oh, that's right. Okay.
I'll second the motion for Nick Smith.
For Nick Smith.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
He is. It's past his bedtime.
Okay, then we have a recommendation for Neil Summers for planning commission.
I move to appoint Neil Summers to the planning commission.
I'll second that.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
And Mr. Casey Cox to the Park and Rec Board.
I'll move to.
I'll second it.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson? Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes, at 8:47.